This tutorial will provide you with information about shooting mobile video, specifically using the iPhone 3GS or iPhone 4. All sample footage in this tutorial, unless otherwise specified, was shot with the iPhone 4 and the OWLE Bubo camera mount with a 37mm wide-angle converter lens. We'll be going over mobile camera operation and basic point-and-shoot techniques, as well as insight into shot composition, focus and exposure adjustment, lighting, stabilization techniques and camera movement, audio, as well as previewing and sending media from your mobile device. When shooting video on the iPhone, make sure to hold the device horizontally at all times. This is what the video looks like if shot vertically. Note that you can take still photographs holding the device horizontally or vertically. In order to get to video mode on your iPhone, click on the camera icon. Then, at the bottom right-hand side of the screen, or the top right-hand side of the screen if you're holding the device horizontally, using your finger, switch from camera mode to video mode, each indicated by the correlative image. To begin and end recording video, tap the red record button on the right side of the screen. You will see a time code in the top right-hand corner of the screen, as well as the blinking record button. Shot composition refers to the organization of elements within the camera frame. Types of shots include wide or establishing, medium, close, and extreme close. Make sure to get all of these shot types if possible when shooting a scene or a single space. Also, vary your vantage point as much as possible. You want to give the viewer as much information as possible about the space and the scene that you're shooting. You also want to have a variety of options for your video editing process. Pay attention to what's in the frame. Everything in the frame should be intentional and should speak to the narrative elements of the story. Avoid awkward objects and busy backgrounds. As you can see, the tree coming out of our subject's head is distracting. Also, framing your subject with leading lines adds a different texture than shooting your subject against a blank wall. The rule of thirds is a compositional rule of thumb that states that the frame should be imagined as divided into 9 equal parts by 2 equally spaced horizontal lines and 2 equally spaced vertical lines, and that important compositional elements should be placed along these lines or at their intersections. Aligning your subject with these points creates more tension, energy, and interest in the composition than simply centering the subject would. Make sure that each of your shots is a minimum of 10 seconds long. Remember that a scene can unfold in the frame and that you should be perceptive of that. Do not get too caught up with getting a shot and moving on to other shots. Rather, give each shot duration the time in the case that something interesting happens in the frame, as well as to give yourself some options to work with in your video edit. Remember that motion should only be enacted with a purpose. Panning is horizontal movement of the camera, and tilting is vertical movement of the camera. If you need to show an entire space with limited accessibility, follow a person, or provide information about the space in which you're shooting, a pan would be appropriate. However, panning for panning's sake is unnecessary and distracting. Also remember to zoom with your feet. You will need to walk the camera into the shot composition that you want, as there is no zoom feature on this device. The best way to stabilize your camera is with a tripod. However, if you do not have a tripod, here are other techniques. You can stabilize with outstretched arms. You can use an attachment that increases stabilization, like the OWLE Bubo camera mount. Or you can use found surfaces to steady the camera. Note that you will need to use a camera mount in order to use a tripod. When shooting exterior shots, keep the position of the sun in mind. Unless intended, do not shoot at windows or into the sun, as this will silhouette your subject. If you'd like to focus on something specific within the frame or adjust the exposure, simply tap your preferred subject within the frame on the iPhone screen. For low light situations, you can turn on the LED light at the top left-hand corner of the screen, indicated by the lightning bolt icon. You can also operate using auto or with the LED light manually off. Remember that the LED light is directional. Point the camera in the direction of your preferred subject. Here are some examples of the LED light being used with varying proximities from our subject. This shot is set up 7 feet away from our subject. This shot is 5 feet away from our subject. And this shot is 2 feet away from our subject. The LED light use is only recommended for extremely low light situations, as your proximity to the subject must be 2 feet or less in order to obtain usable video. Note that you must use the device without a camera mount when using the LED light, as the mount is not designed for lighting use. If you have access to external microphones, you should opt for those devices over the iPhone's onboard audio. However, if you must use your onboard microphone to acquire usable audio, make sure to hold a close proximity to your desired subject. Keep in mind the natural sound around you, as well as the audio that you're trying to acquire, as these issues will determine the type of external audio device you decide to use during your shoot. For example, if you're conducting an interview, the optimal device to use would be a wireless microphone, like the Sennheiser EW100G2 camera mount wireless microphone. Note that in order to use this wireless microphone with your iPhone, you will need a special adapter, like the iPhone Sennheiser wireless mic locking mini plug adapter, 3.5mm 4-conductor TRRS male to Sennheiser 3.5mm locking mini plug. If you are shooting multiple people, an active scene, or if you just need natural sound, use a shotgun microphone, like the Rode Video Mic camera-mounted shotgun microphone. Note that you will need a special adapter for this as well, like the iPhone 1/8 inch microphone adapter, 3.5mm 4-conductor TRRS male to 3.5mm microphone input jack. Remember that the shotgun mic is directional, however it is not as directional and exacting as the wireless microphone, which will predominantly pick up the audio from your mic'd subject. If time permits, make sure to conduct a sound check to make sure that the audio is working. Simply record a short clip of the person talking and check the clip in your camera roll.
I want to see him pull one of those out and not topple it. Never mind.
Once you are done recording a clip, tap the red button. The clip will then go into your camera roll, which stores all of your iPhone's videos and photos. To preview and edit the clip you had just shot, as well as all of the clips from your shoot, click on the image on the bottom left-hand side of the screen, or the bottom right-hand side of the screen if you're holding the device horizontally. You now have the option to trim your clip or scroll through all of your clips in the camera roll. You can also email, MMS, send to YouTube, or trash the clip altogether. To trim your clip, using your finger, pull the left side and the right side of the timeline at the top of the screen. Notice that the timeline turns yellow when you enact the trimming mechanism. To preview your potential trimmed clip, tap the play button at the bottom of the screen. Once you are happy with your trim, tap the yellow trim button. You will be prompted to either trim the original clip or to save this edit as a new clip. One reason to save as a new clip would be if you want to grab multiple sound bites or multiple visuals from the same raw clip. However, if you have unintentional camera movement within your raw clip, it might make sense to trim the original clip. Use your discretion. From here, you can also email, MMS, or send your clip to YouTube by tapping the icon in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. If you decide to email the video, make sure that unless you're connected to Wi-Fi, to keep the clip duration under 45 seconds long. If you are using Wi-Fi, you can send longer clips. Go ahead and fill in the required fields and tap Send. You can also send your video via multimedia messaging service. Tap the MMS button, and it will bring your video into an MMS window. Specify the people to which you'd like to send the video, and tap Send. Lastly, you can upload your video directly to YouTube. Have your newspaper's YouTube username and password readily available, as you will be prompted to fill in those fields in order to access the account. Once you gain access to the form, fill in the following fields: title and description, specify if you want to upload your video in standard definition or high definition. Note that in order to upload in HD, you'll need a Wi-Fi internet connection. Fill in your tags, choose a category, and specify if the video is public, unlisted, or private.